WrestleManiacs, Maniacs. This is the podcast, it's called WrestleManiacs. Adam, Donna, Indy, and Josh. Then now together forever and son. WrestleManiacs. This is the podcast, it's called WrestleManiacs. WWE, AEW, TNA, JPW. WrestleManiacs, it's here again tonight. We are reviewing WWE NXT from May the 14th, 2024. And tonight we've got quite a show to discuss. We've actually got a NXT Heritage Cup match with Tony D'Angelo facing off against Charlie Dempsey, who is defending the NXT Heritage Cup, sans his partners who were taken and kidnapped by the D'Angelo family last week. We've got some qualifying matches for some of the women to be able to enter into the ladder match at WWE Battleground in Las Vegas at the UFC Pavilion Arena, whatever it's called. And, you know, we've also got a couple of people being tagged. Again, a wild night for NXT. So, you know what? Without further ado, again, let's get started on this wild edition of NXT. So what we actually start out with backstage is actually Noam Dar has been injured. He's actually been attacked backstage. Metaphor, of course, and the medical crew are around. Not really sure what's happened. We just know he's been knocked around a little bit. And, of course, we have Lash Legend looking on, concerned. Ora Mensa, of course, as his number one man, basically getting on him, telling him, you know, hey, look, you know, who did this? Noam Dar has no idea. Of course, we all kind of assume it's going to be, you know, somebody. We're not sure who. But, again, we start out the show with Noam Dar being attacked. And remember, just last week, we actually had Noam Dar step up as a challenger to NXT to Trick's championship. So, you know, again, could it have been Trick? Could it have been Javon Evans? Let's just see and continue on with this review, and let's talk about it. What we go to next is Izzy Dame in the backstage locker room, basically getting hyped up for her match against Sol Ruca. And we actually have Kiana James, the newest Raw roster member, showing up. Again, I guess the brands, any brand can show up on any show on NXT, I guess. I guess NXT is different. Basically hyping her up for the match, saying, you know, you got this, you know, you got to step out of the shadow right now. You got to basically, you know, do what you got to do and become a star. Become a star. So this leads us actually to the qualifying match for the NXT North American Championship ladder match at NXT Battleground. Again, so this match is for an opportunity to go join the six-way ladder match, for the NXT inaugural North American Championship, the women's edition, essentially. So, again, the winner of this match will join into that one of six people at the Battleground PLE in Las Vegas at the UFC Pavilion Arena, whatever they want to call it. So, again, we get Izzy Dame versus Sol Ruca. And actually, Sol Ruca picks up the win here. No surprise. Again, they've been trying to push Sol Ruca for quite a while right now. Again, not terrible. Again, I really did not like her match with Blair Davenport at Spring Breaking a couple of weeks ago. But look, you know, she's definitely got the athletics. Izzy Dame still has time. Sol Ruca, I think's time is now in terms of using that momentum, beating Blair Davenport. So, again, not a bad choice. Decent enough match. Again, it's the typical Sol Ruca match. She's going to do a lot of different acrobatic, athletic things. Again, it is what it is. So, Sol Ruca is the first woman to join in that six-way ladder match at NXT Battleground for the new inaugural NXT Women's North American Championship. So, again, not too bad of a match. Sol Ruca advances. We then go to actually the GM who actually follows up with things. Ava Rain basically is saying, look, you know, Tony D'Angelo, where are Miles Bourne and where is Damon Kemp? What was that thing you pulled? You don't just pull out referees. You don't do that sort of thing. And fines them $20,000. And surprise, surprise, Tony D'Angelo, being, of course, the Don of NXT, has the money. Rizzo already has the money in hand. Tells her, look, there's a little bit of extra in there to kind of spruce up the place, and promises that tonight's match for the NXT Heritage Cup is not going to have any funny business, Ava. So Ava, again, calls them out on it. We never get to answer what happened with Miles Bourne and Damon Kemp, even though last week we left and they were kidnapped by the D'Angelo family, taken to who knows where. We then have another segment with Malik and Inofe discussing their upcoming match against OTM, which is Bronco and Price of the Out of the Mud. And, of course, we have Inofe still kind of concerned and being superstitious about the broken mirror and holding a lucky rabbit's foot. Brinley Reese comes in, basically says, let's go out to the match and let's get this done. Let's do this. Which leads to Malik and Inoue versus Bronco and Price of Out of the Mud. Again, Scripps is not here. He's been told he's not going to be re-signed, so I guess they just have nothing for him, essentially, so why even waste the TV time with him? And we actually have Brinley Reese and Jada Parker brawl on the outside, so really this match, good enough, I guess. It kind of was to show those guys kind of, I guess, showcase them, I guess is the best way I could describe it. But actually, OTM actually pick up the win here based upon that. So again, am I really into OTM? No, I hate the name. I really don't understand it. I don't understand if it's a culture thing or what, but I still am kind of lost about Out of the Mud. And even Inoue and Blade, really, I still, I remember them, one of them wearing like a turtleneck or something, and now they're just wearing regular stuff, and now a whole luck gimmick. So I don't know, serviceable enough. I dare say this should have been an NXT level up, their little developmental territory. But look, like anything, once we lost some NXT guys, we got some new guys coming in. So not terrible, but again, I honestly could care less about either team. I know they're trying their hardest, but Out of the Mud to me, I think, is dead in the water. Jada Parker's got some good upside to her. Brinley Reese, I still don't know who she is necessarily in terms of her character. So they got a lot of things to work on with these characters, all 6 of them. Then we get a interview with Shayna Baszler and Lola Vice. More so, Baszler's talking about coming to NXT, basically, knocking people out, essentially. And we actually get Natalya and Carmen Petrovich actually attack, in the middle of the segment, basically knock and brawl with them. Essentially, they get pulled apart. So I'm definitely liking this intensity of this feud. Again, it really feels like a feud. Again, I didn't love the NXT Underground match. Didn't really care for it. But if it gets the tag team match between these 4 women, I think definitely they could pull it off, especially with 2 veterans like Natalya and Shayna. I definitely think it's going to be a pretty good match, hopefully. We then go backstage with Noam Dar with the rest of Metaphor, basically seeing the doctor, and the doctor's like, he's injured, he's hurt. And basically, essentially Noam Dar is saying, no, it was either Javon Evans or Trick Williams, and Lash Legend agrees. She's like, no, that's not him. How do you know it's not him? And again, the mystery continues of where Lash Legend has been without being around Metaphor so much. So, again, decent enough. We then get another segment backstage. A lot of backstage segments tonight. Ridge Holland basically asking Axiom and Nathan Frazier for a tag team title shot for Chase U. And the OC interrupt to basically make fun of Ridge, saying he's an angry hothead, essentially. And, why don't you do something about it? Why don't you fight us? And find you a good brother if you can. But, of course, you have no friends, Ridge. We all know that. So, again, we're going to be set up for who's going to be Ridge's partner against the OC. Is he going to fight them on his own like he fought Gallus a couple of weeks ago? Let's keep going on and talk about it. We then get another qualifying match for the 6-pack ladder match at Las Vegas, again, for the new Women's NXT North American Championship. Ivy Nile versus Lash Legend. This match was all right, serviceable enough. We all kind of figured who was going to win this match. Lash Legend gets the, I dare say, quick win here. So Lash Legend moves on as the second woman in the 6-women, ladder match for the Women's NXT North American Championship. Boy, that's a mouthful, especially saying this tonight. So hopefully I'll be saying just the championship match next. Then get a walking backstage interview with Javon Evans. Basically denies he's attacking Noam Dar, but things are about to get bouncy or jumpy, whatever the heck that means. So simple enough, basically just saying Noam Dar, he didn't attack him. And then Ava meets a NXT level up talent called Carly Bright. Carly Bright basically complains that she wants to be in the qualifier match, that she was number 13 out of the suite number 12. Simple enough, essentially, and she'll end up having a match here later on with Lola Vice. So I guess a decent way to show her. Again, my wife and I were watching, and I can't tell you I know who Carly Bright is. I don't watch NXT Level Up, admittedly. I just don't have the time, but definitely from what I've seen tonight, she seems like she's got talent. She seems like she may have something to her. I hope we do get a new piece of talent, but again, it is weird that they kind of just introduce these characters, and they're either here, they're not there. So, again, good luck to Carly Bright. I would just say that. We then get a match of Aura Mensa versus Javon Evans. And decent enough match. Of course, Javon Evans is this 19-year-old sensation, basically, jumps and flips and does that sort of cool stuff, I guess. And we actually have Lash Legend going to hit him with a chair until Trick Williams comes out, her babe, even though we haven't really said that yet. And she's conflicted, basically tells her, put the chair down. Essentially, she does. And that actually cost or Mensa the match. And Javon Evans wins. He goes in the ring. Trick Williams raises his hand and basically just kind of gets a little rub from the champ, essentially. We really don't see much more Trick Williams after that, which, again, was such a surprise given he's a champion. We have no MDR, but, again, this is a weird NXT week, I will say. We get a pretty good interview, and I say good for Charlie Dempsey. Basically vows to beat Tony D'Angelo tonight and retain the NXT Heritage Cup, and he's going to get back at him for all the stuff his family has been doing, and says, look, we're going to have Miles Bourne and Damon Kemp back. Some way or another, they're going to show up to the arena. So, again, we don't know whether he knows something or whether it's just a common because, again, he still has no idea that they've been kidnapped. I guess he doesn't watch his own show that he's on, but, again, that's WWE logic for you. What we get next is Wesley in-ring promo, basically talking about he thought he was going to be gone for a year, his career was over, and essentially starts to get, emotional about the return and how much he loves this. When we get our current North American champion, Obafemi, as they say in the NXT arena, basically interrupts him and saying, hey, again, you're quite a talent, and you basically helped elevate this North American championship, but you're not going to beat me. I'm the mountain that you can't climb. What a statement. Again, I love this sort of Obafemi. Again, I didn't understand when he jumped up to the North American Championship type of place, but they must see something. It may not just be his height, but, I mean, he definitely has stepped into this character as the ruler, as the leader. And, again, I like it. I really think it's a good character. Again, it's a little one-sided, but, I don't think Apollo Crews did well pulling off this Nigerian prince thing, but I definitely can think Obafemi definitely believes or at least feels like he is royalty and a ruler of his kingdom. And him being the North American champion, love it. So as they're talking, we actually have Ivar come out and interrupt and basically says, look, Wesley, you and I had the same surgery essentially, and, I want a shot at the North American Championship too. So why don't you and I, and as he says that, out comes Josh Briggs, basically talks about how him and Obafemi stole the show at Stand and Deliver, not even really mentioning Ivar in that match. Or, I'm sorry, not Ivar, excuse me, Dijak. Not even mentioning Dijak by name, really. And basically Wesley's like, hey, why don't we make this a fatal four-way? And Obafemi says something pretty good, basically saying, that's why I'm the champ and you're not. Fight amongst yourselves, and the winner will get the opportunity for my championship. So, I like this segment. Again, I like that everybody's kind of, gunning for him. I like that everybody's hoping that, they can get a chance at Obafemi. I've got some comments here. Let me see. Hey, Dutton, watched the show, became to support Padawan. Thanks. Obafemi is a star on the rise. Jason Briggs. Ah, yes, Jason Briggs. That's so fun. Jason Biggs, Jason Briggs. Definitely a good callback, Dotla, for those of you who got that little inside joke. That's pretty funny. So thanks again for reminding me of that. Anyways, as I was saying, pretty good segment. Definitely like that they're going to have this continual contention for the title. And, I've got to say it. Again, I wasn't bought into Obafemi at first, but you know what? I'm bought into the character, and I really like the idea that Wesley, or even a fatal four-way, any of these guys could be champion. Now, granted, Josh Briggs is, I think, coming into his own. I don't think he's ready yet. Definitely wouldn't be upset to see Ivar as the champ. Same with Wesley. So who knows? Again, but I like that. I like that there's going to be a fight next week. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit as well. We then go backstage with Ridge Holland and basically looking for a partner, and up comes Chase U, and Ridge basically thanks Mr. Chase, saying, hey, thanks for the support. Can't wait to tag team with you. And he said, no, not me or not Duke. It's going to be Riley Osborne, who Riley is the one that doesn't trust Ridge Holland yet. The Hell's been trying to push for Ridge Holland. All of them have been trying to tell Riley, hey, trust this guy. He's a good guy. So we actually get Ridge Holland and Riley Osborne of Chase U facing off against the Good Brothers, the OC. But before we get there, we actually had Jasmine Nix going around to the locker room, basically getting a get well card for JC Jane, who actually had legit surgery on her nose because she got busted with the Hell in their match at Spring Break-In. So Lexis King basically says, hey, I'm going to sign it for Jamie, essentially signs it, walks off, and I can't really say what the point of this segment was unless they're going to have like this Jasmine Nix and, Lexis King thing. Again, I guess the idea is, again, Lexis King just causes chaos no matter where he is, heel or babyface. I hope they kind of give him more of a character or at least more story because, again, this whole kind of going randomly against Joe Gacy and stuff is kind of getting old at this point. But, again, it is what it is. It is Lexis King. So Excuse me. So now we have the Good Brothers versus Rich Holland and Riley Osborne. And, not surprisingly, the OC picks up the win here. Decent enough match. Again, I thought it was funny earlier in the show. They talked about they're tired of main roster guys coming down to NXT trying to find fortune, essentially. And, of course, the irony here is that they are actually in NXT trying to do the same thing, winning the tag team titles, or at least trying to, I should say, and go against Frazier and Axiom, who they believe are dodging them. So, again, a pretty good ironic statement from the Good Brothers. Not surprised the Good Brothers won. I'd be really more concerned if they did lose. I, again, still have hope that they're going to be put into a storyline with AJ Styles somewhere down the line versus Cody. Again, that's my hope. But again, this kind of goes with tension of, is Ridge Holland going to really be upset at Riley Osborne? Is his temper going to come out? Then we go next to the match of Carly Bright versus Lola Vice. I mean, can I say this was a star-making performance for Lola Vice? Or not Lola Vice, excuse me. Carly Bright, no. I mean, decent enough, but I will say Lola Vice had a wicked, and I mean wicked, I would back fist, I guess you'd call it, back clothesline, essentially, reverse clothesline. I mean, basically just went, knocked her out, and basically got the clean win, 1, 2, 3. Lola Vice is your winner of this match. But, of course, earlier, we actually had Natalya and Carmen Petrovich come out and attack again, and they get into this big giant brawl, and basically Carmen said she's had enough. She wants a tag team match next week with her and Natalya versus Lola Vice and Shayna Baszler. So, a pretty good setup. 2 segments. They gave these ladies 2 segments in the show tonight for a backstage interview and in-ring promo, essentially brawl. So, definitely made me interested in the match for sure. I didn't care really before, but now, you know what? They got me to care a little bit more. So that's what we definitely want to have happen. And I can't wait for that match next week. So we go backstage again with Ridge Holland walking off. He's not really mad that they lost. Essentially he tells Riley, hey, it's okay. Look, I lost. It is what it is. It's no big deal. He just hopes that he's won their trust. As he walks off, Riley's still not sure. And Thea's like, come on, Riley, you got this. Come on. So again, there's this weird Ridge Holland is trying to get everybody's trust, especially Chase U. Again, I wonder if he's going to be turning heel or something. I don't really know. I mean, this is kind of I've got to see how the story goes because, again, at this point, it's just very random. But, it is what it is. So Ridge Holland, again, another Ridge Holland segment. The third one I think we get. And that actually leads us to, thankfully, I dare say, thankfully, our main event with Charlie Dempsey as the NXT Heritage Cup champion holder, whatever you want to call it, versus Tony D'Angelo. Tony actually wins the first round. The second round, no one wins. They run out of time. Dempsey scores the second fall in the third round with a pretty awesome bridging suplex, but again, the back and the neck being like that. So very cool bridging German suplex. No one wins the fourth round. And in the middle of that, we actually have Miles Bourne and Damon Kemp actually escaping somehow from wherever they were being held and essentially start attacking Crucifino and Stacks on the outside. This distraction leads to Tony D'Angelo actually getting the fifth fall and actually winning the Heritage Cup from the No Quarter Catch crew. Can I say I was surprised a little bit, especially with, essentially, this is the weird thing about this match. Technically, I guess Tony D'Angelo is the babyface, but their actions are heelish. The No Quarter Catch crew technically are heels as well, but their guys got kidnapped and they came back almost in a babyface kind of style. So, is it tweeners? Are they fighting one another? What's the deal here? Oh, sorry, Daniel. Earlier, I'm just waiting for Shayna to turn on Lola Vice. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much going to happen. I mean, we all know Shayna always turns on all of her partners. And I mean, look, maybe they're going to have it to where she's going to feud with Lola Vice on NXT and maybe Zoe Stark on Raw. Definitely wouldn't be upset with either matches. So sorry, Mr. Comment earlier, Daniel. But yeah, definitely a good point there. Again, back to what we were talking about. Tony D winning, one of his first titles. I mean, again, he was tag team champions with Stacks. But again, the Heritage Cup is interesting. Can I say the whole 5-round thing is really worth watching? I mean, it's kind of like watching the new Speed show. If you have a 5 or 3 minute time limit, essentially, and somebody can lose that quickly. Again, I understand the history. It is the British strong style, the 5 rounds. I get that there's history there. But for an American audience, I can't necessarily say there was a great NXT Heritage Cup match. I can't think of one. If you guys can think of one, WrestleManiacs, let me know, and I'd love to watch one that actually made sense and made me care. But Tony D'Angelo is your new NXT Heritage Champion. And as he's celebrating, we have the announcers freaking out going, book, what's going on? What's going on in the back? and we see that Wesley's been taken out, Ivar's been taken out, Josh Briggs has been taken out. Camera pans, and we actually see that Gallus has returned. Yes, Gallus has returned to NXT and basically attacks everyone and says they're only just beginning the chaos. So we hear them starting to attack other people. We don't know who. So essentially, Gallus, I guess, is going to be the top heel faction now, basically attacking anybody and everybody. Again, weird that they kind of attacked Noam Dar to start with, but again, it's Gallus, and again, we'll just see what happens. They're doing a little bit of different NXT. They're not doing the WWE logic, which is definitely not always a bad thing, I guess I should say. But I don't know. You guys let me know. What were your thoughts on the show tonight? Are you excited to see any of the matches? And actually, speaking of, let's talk about some of the matches we're going to get next week on NXT. We're going to talk about. What we get is actually Thea Hale versus Fallon Henley in a qualifier match for, again, that 6-way ladder match at NXT Battleground in Las Vegas at the UFC arena. And I will say for one thing, just so you guys know, Dodala _ will not be going to that NXT show in Las Vegas. She's already told me. She's let you guys know. So again, please don't bug her. Don't let her know, but she's definitely not going to that show. So just want to highlight that again. So again, this will be a good match. This was set up back at Spring Break-In, where Fallon Henley basically attacked Thea Hale after her victory over JC Jane. So definitely makes sense for them to have a match for a qualifier. I hate that essentially one of them is going to be out of the qualifier, because I'd like to see them hit each other with a ladder and attack each other during the match and maybe cost each other the North American title. But who knows? That still might happen because it's a ladder match and anything goes. We get another qualifier match next week. We get Brinley Reese versus Jada Parker. Again, they had a little mini brawl on the back in the outside the ring, during the OTM and the Edris and Enofe match. So again, makes sense that they're going to basically be feuding. I guess this is going to be a new team that's going to be feuding in a 6-person tag, but we're going to get a qualifier match between these two ladies to see who goes to Las Vegas for that shot at the NXT Women's North American Championship. As mentioned earlier, we get Shayna Baszler and Lola Vice versus Natalya and Carmen Petrovich. Should be pretty good. There's a lot more heat behind this and continuity that I am liking. At first, I could have cared less about the NXT Underground matches, as I said earlier, but you know what? They got me hooked. I'll be interested to see who's going to take the win here. And yeah, that's going to be a pretty good match. And I think it's going to be a good main event. I would hope it's a main event next week, but again, we'll see. We're actually going to get a #1 contenders triple threat match to see who's going to face the North American champion Oba Femi for a shot at his title. It's going to be Ivar versus Josh Briggs versus Wesley. Now, of course, if we look at the card, we've got Wesley, who's, a lot shorter than Josh Briggs, and definitely a lot more lightweight, I should say, than Ivar. But this is going to be a pretty good match. Again, I did not expect such a great match between Josh Briggs, Dijak, and Oba Femi at Stand and Deliver, and I definitely was taken aback when they had an excellent match. So this should be a really good match, especially Wesley being able to do flying flips, and we both know Ivar definitely could do some cruiserweight stuff as big as he is, and Josh Briggs, he's coming into his own. So WrestleManiacs, that's it for tonight. Kind of a quick night, but this NXT was a lot backstage heavy. Seems like some of the matches. We got a new NXT Heritage Cup champion going into next week. We got to figure out what's going to go on with Trick, since he was pretty quiet this week in the Lash Legends story and saga. So couple housekeeping things we'll talk about real quick. Please make sure to like and subscribe to this video. Comment your thoughts and concerns as well on NXT and what your thoughts about it are and what you'd like to see. Again, you can follow the channel at A+ Hero Report. Again, if you hit that bell notification icon, you'll know whenever we go live or drop some new content. You can follow me at WrestleM Podcast. And also, I'm going to give a shout out to @Dodala_ on Twitter, as well as her channel, Rangers of Wrestling, on YouTube as well. Definitely check her out. So for me, I always review Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. And actually, this month is going to be a little bit different. Memorial Day weekend, I've got Queen and King of the Ring to watch. As well, I'm going to watch Double or Nothing. I'm actually going to review Double or Nothing. They got me with Dynasty last month. AEW did. I enjoyed the show. I thought it was crazy, but again, I enjoyed it. So who knows? Maybe if I like Double or Nothing, if they really catch me, maybe I'll start reviewing a Dynamite here or there, or a Collision, something like that. You know what? There's always more content out there. And again, wrestling is in a healthy state at the moment between ROH, TNA, and JPW. The sky's the limit, and we're back. I would almost say to the territories again in a way. And let's throw in NWA in there as well. So Anyways, I've talked too long tonight. Let's just say I can't wait to see you guys and gals, WrestleManiacs, on Friday Night SmackDown. And again, talk to you guys soon. Have a good evening, good night, and morning, wherever you are. And I'll talk to you on Friday night. Thanks much.